Welcome back. As I began getting the material for today's show together, one subject sort of grew to show length. I hope you enjoy it and find it interesting. So grab your favorite cuppa, sit back, and let's check it out. Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for June 17th. June 17th is the 168th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 169th in leap years, with 197 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is aficionado. Aficionado is a noun that refers to a person who's very knowledgeable and enthusiastic about an activity, subject, or pastime. Example sentences might include, she became a true aficionado of French cuisine after her trip to Paris, or Mark is a jazz aficionado who can talk for hours about the legends of bebop, or quite the film aficionado, he never misses a major festival premiere. The word aficionado comes to us through Spanish, originally from Latin, where it meant to become fond of or to inspire affection. So aficionado is literally someone who has affection for something. First known use of the word aficionado in English is in the mid-1800s. Aficionado. The word aficionado was suggested by YouTube viewer at David Hartman 5934. Thanks, David. And if you have a word you'd like to put forth for this segment, drop it in the comments. We'll take a look. And with that, this is the birthday of the late broadcaster and author Art Bell. He may be best known for his time as host of the late-night talk show Coast to Coast AM. You may recall I've mentioned Coast to Coast before. Born Arthur William Bell III on June 17, 1945, in North Carolina in the U.S., Art became a licensed amateur radio operator at the age of 13, ultimately earning an amateur extra class license, call sign W6OBB. He served in the Air Force in the 1960s, and while in the military, his affinity for radio deepened. After his military service, he worked at rock radio stations in the U.S. and in Okinawa. After Okinawa, he returned to the U.S. and worked in rock radio for the next 20 years. He moved to talk radio in 1978 with a political call-in show called West Coast AM. 10 years later, in 1988, the show was renamed Coast to Coast AM and moved from Las Vegas to Art's hometown in Pahrump, Nevada. At this time, he changed from political talk more to subjects of gun control and conspiracy theories, and guess what? The show's ratings took off. In the mid-1990s, the focus of the show shifted more to paranormal, the occult, UFOs, proto-science, and pseudoscience. He didn't necessarily accept and agree with every guest's or caller's claims, but simply offered a forum where they would not be openly ridiculed. He also interviewed entertainers such as Crystal Gayle, Willie Nelson, Merle Haggard, Eric Burdon, Gordon Lightfoot, comedian George Carlin, and actors like Leonard Nimoy, Dan Aykroyd, Jane Seymour, writers like Dean Koontz and Chris Carter, and many more. Art went into retirement or semi-retirement several times beginning in the late 90s. George Noory came on board as the weekday host for Coast to Coast in 2003, with other hosts on weekends. Art Bell was inducted into the National Radio Hall of Fame in 2008, briefly hosted a show called Art Bell's Dark Matter on Sirius XM in 2013, and the Midnight in the Desert radio show in 2015. Art passed in April of 2018 at the age of 72. We can think of Art Bell as the original late-night host due to his open-minded, free-form style and minimal censorship. Art Bell reshaped talk radio by blending entertainment, curiosity, and inquiry into the supernatural. He built a devoted audience, enjoyed vast influence, and left a lasting legacy, cultivating a space for topics that challenge mainstream norms and his overnight radio model continues to influence paranormal broadcasting. Coast to Coast AM, now hosted by George Noory, remains on over 600 stations. If you're a listener of the Coast to Coast AM radio program, you are very well aware of the intro music for that show. What you might or might not know is that it's called Chase, and it's from the soundtrack for the 1978 movie Midnight Express. Released in 1978, this instrumental was written by Italian music producer Giorgio Moroder and arranged by Harold Faltermeyer. Created especially for the movie Midnight Express, Chase was popular as a disco song, making an appearance on the Billboard Hot 100, peaking at number 33, and number 48 on the UK singles chart. Created with synthesizers and actual instruments, Chase definitely has a sound you won't forget, especially if you're a fan of Coast to Coast, or more affectionately, a coastie. Chase by Giorgio Moroder. Link in the description. How about that? As today approached, June 17th, I became aware that it was the birthday of the late Art Bell, and I have an idea that some of my viewers are aware of his presence on the airwaves. He had quite a voice and innovated in the radio space for sure. I even found a quote attributed to him, and it is, "A mind should not be so open that the brains fall out. However, it should not be so closed that whatever gray matter which does reside may not be reached." Art Bell. Alrighty, y'all take care. Be good to each other. I'll see you next time. Resume, pause. Okay. I think we're going again. Go ahead and put him up there. Put his little screenshot up there. Yeah, let's do that. All right. There. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoyed this series, you can check out the playlists in the description. You can find me on BitChute, Facebook, Odyssey, Rumble, YouTube, and X, as well as on a blog page called No Really. All those links are in the description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.